Hey everybody, there's going to be a few people that's going to be joining. I'm just going to put you guys on mute, or please make sure that your camera. Hi Mikey, I can see you. Hi Ali, I see you. And I hear you. I'm just going to carry on talking. People will be joining this link today, and as they join, I'll just ask you to put yourself on mute through this process. Okay, so a lot of people who attended yesterday are unable to attend today for many reasons. The weather's good, children are playing, people are having drinks outside and have plans. So I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to carry on today. I'm just going to, make sure that you all are muted through. So just a brief run over of where we were and what happened yesterday. So yesterday was all about the story, right? So yesterday we started day one, and I explained to you my story of how I got where I was a few years ago from living my life in lack, struggle, and burnt out in my business, in my career, living out of alignment and not having clarity to how I got to where I am today, but the long process. So this is for anyone who has in mind the big vision of what they want to become, what they want to manifest, and what they want to achieve. So what I'm going to take you through today is a shortcut version of how to become shifted, align, and heal, where you're living life in your alignment. Okay, so we are going to be speaking today about the emotions that we are living in that holds and keeps us stuck to our story, right? So the reason why we are not growing or reaching the destination is because of the narratives that we keep playing in our mind. The narratives may be the fear that we created in the mind. We look at reasons of why we cannot achieve, why we cannot attract, and these reasons started as we were children. We've taken on all these beliefs that became inherent. And when we take on these beliefs that becomes inherent and we believe them, that then turns into habit. And we are creatures of habit, so it becomes a story, it becomes a narrative that we play by over and over and over. So what we need to do is to reprogram those habits that were formed, right? Because we are more likely to pay attention and to listen to the negative. We're more likely to listen and to pay attention to things that's not in aligned to us. For example, why would you go to someone who's sick for health advice? Why would you go to someone who's broke for financial advice, right? So it's easy for us to form stories to why we can't, but it takes us the same amount of energy to install that positivity. But what we do is self-sabotage. And self-sabotage comes from the mind telling us we're safer. We're safer to play small in life. And if we play small in life, it will serve us. Playing small serves us because by playing small, we're not going to rock the boat, upset anyone, or perhaps we're not going to outgrow our loved ones. So then what we do is we then play small, right? We dim our light to hold space for someone else. These are things and beliefs that holds us back when trying to cultivate the life that we really want, whether it's abundance, whether it's creating a business of abundance, whether it's your financial relationship, whether it's a relationship with your partner, whether it's a relationship with yourself, whatever that looks like. We create the story. So we are the author, we're the writer, we are the writers of our own story. So today is going to be a deeper process. So I'm here with you for the whole hour. Today is going to be a deeper process on how to really shift the story, how to move away from the narrative that you're living in, right? Because everything that's in your life right now, whether it's health, whether it's wealth, lack, scarcity, whatever that is, you have created this. So I want to teach you today how to go fast track, how to live in the moment without creating the story and becoming attached to the emotions. Because what you will do, let's just say you walk in past someone and you ask them, how is your day today? They don't go, oh, I'm consciously aware that I'm having a bad day, or I'm consciously aware that my thoughts are negative, right? So people are not really consciously aware that they are having a bad day or they are being negative. People are living by their script because people feel too much. They go by how they're feeling. So today I'm feeling really miserable. Today I feel really sick. Today I feel really fed up. Those feelings are coming from the emotions. Feelers are very different to emotions. So just bear in mind that we feel things, but we also have emotions. They are not the same thing, right? Emotions are just chemical reactions. And remember what I said yesterday, emotions are chemical reactions that only last for 90 seconds, right? We all human, we have the wheel of emotions. We all feel rage, joy, happiness, and anger, and whatever that is. But the emotion that we experience only lasts for a short period. It only lasts for 90 seconds. The rest of that is your history, right? Now, the history is a record of information. The history is a record of information that we hold within us, right? And this record of information will come from perhaps growing up as a child. What did your mother tell you you are? What are you likely to achieve? And what will you become? Perhaps what happened at school? Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were told you will never be anything. We all hold those records in our archives, and they then become our belief systems, right? And that's why you are living the way you are living today. You have all these unresolved emotions, which is manifesting like the jar of snakes I spoke about yesterday. And these emotions are coming out in different forms because we're paying attention to the feeling every day. Oh, well, today I'm feeling like this. Well, let me tell you, in the world of success is fast. People who are successful are very fast thinkers. They don't hold onto the emotional process for so long, right? People don't get stuck in the feeling, I'm really feeling sick today. Because what happens then, we start creating the victim archetype within us, right? We have to be able to feel, take accountability and go, I'm going to be able to allow this to run through my body and then know that these emotions are not me. They're part of me, they come and go, but don't make the emotion your identity, because that is the substance that keeps you stuck in the process, right? So if you remember yesterday, I was speaking about being a single mother and raising my 2 children. I was determined. I looked at my children every day and I thought, you know what, my father, he woke up every day and he worked really hard and he brought home success. I am not going to sit around and cry and look at my children and go, I need to sign on because I need to, perhaps carry on the struggle. When I looked at my children, now these, take a note, is called your emotional motivators. Emotional motivators is one thing that's built within us that will drive us, right? And we need emotional motivators when we're setting a goal or a target. My emotional motivators are my children. Now I'm going to explain to you and explore with you in this next hour and a bit. I may go over, and if you can't stay, that's fine. Join tomorrow or send me a message for the replay. So what I'm here to explain to you today, that people who are emotional over logical are more likely to attract and achieve success and abundance. Why? Because people who are emotional, they feel, right? Now, if you're aware of the law of attraction and if you're aware of mindset work, it's all about creating the vision, mapping the vision, and feeling. So actually the law of attraction tells you in order to attract, we have to do this big vision board and put our goals down and create our goals. The goal can't happen if we don't know what that's going to feel. Because the first law is the law of vibration, right? The first law that governs us is the law of vibration. The law of vibration works on how we're feeling is what we're going to manifest. Ever notice you wake up one day and something tells you, oops, today is going to be a bad day. I woke up late. The traffic light's red. It's just going to go bad. Had an argument with my husband, my partner. My day's going down. Everything goes down because we've embodied that feeling. We became that feeling the moment we identified ourselves with that. And that's what happens. So it's the law of vibration, then the law of vision. We need to be able to feel first and then see it. If we can't feel it, we're not going to believe it, right? People get this wrong. And a lot of people read The Secret, they read the book, then they go, oh yeah, I can see myself in that holiday house. I can see myself traveling. I can see myself doing that. But if you're not going to feel this and you're not going to embody the feeling of what this looks like, success, abundance, perhaps a healthy relationship, maybe a healed part of you, you're not going to embody the next step, right? So when we are tapping into the logical part of the brain, which is the left part of the brain, we are tapping into logician, right? That's an inner archetype. Logic looks for strategy and looks for proof. There's one thing that logic is good, but if you are too much in that logical energy of thinking the how, right? How am I going to make this work? You are moving yourself from the right vibration, from out of alignment, because when we over question the how, we lose trust and faith. Trust and faith and emotion is from the right side of the brain, right? That comes from the other side, the opposite side. That is actually the side that we need to create from. That's a side that we need to tap into us, right? So it's all good. I get that. You know, I'm a therapist and I'm also psychodynamic therapy as well. But we can understand and we can go there. But the moment we start to look and we start to plan and to scheme and to try to become analytical and overthinking, what we do then is we then become disconnected, right? We become disconnected from our hearts. We become disconnected from feeling, from creating. That's disconnect. So we are then shifting from our logician into our emotion. So being in the emotion is being in the heart. We speak about conspiracy things. We speak about, you know, what if this is going to go wrong? What if that's going to go wrong? And what happens is you then embody these experiences. And when you embody the experiences of what could go wrong, what happens is you shift out of alignment. You then go to fear. You then push yourself out of where you're meant to be. So remember what I said yesterday, the door of abundance is always open. Now, if you believe in God or the universe, there's science and religion that backs that up, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be delivering this workshop because I've researched and I live what I've researched. I experience and I explore. Now, if you look at the stuff that I've created over the last few years, it's all just gone up and up and up because I push myself, right? Listen to this theory. The brain knows no difference from 1 pound to 10,000 pounds. But you have given the brain the story, right? You have told the brain, this is 1,000 or 10,000 pounds or 10,000 rand or dollars, whatever that looks like. And this holds a lot of value. And I need to work my way up and prove my validation to get there. So you've created that story to that value, because that value in the brain, it doesn't exist. The brain knows no different from 1 pound to 10,000 pounds, right? So your lack is based on your story. Your struggles is based on your story. But I'm not here today to remind you of your story, of course, because we all know we have that story. My story is just getting better and better because I want to keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And this is what I'm going to teach you today. So I want to teach you today how to move out of that logic, out of I need to create this and that's going to be the next step, and this is going to be the next step. Maybe I need a marketing man. Maybe I need a social media manager to run my accounts, right? Whatever that looks like. Maybe you spend a lot of time in planning. And let me tell you, you can do all the actions, but if your mindset doesn't match, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, right? And I've seen this time and time again. Remember, mindset is 80%. It all starts in here. It grows in there. Ever heard this term? You have to have faith of a mustard seed. Yeah, it's actually a biblical term. Not religious, but I love that term, right? You have to have the faith. That faith of a mustard seed doesn't require logic. And once you have that faith, you can build trees with that mustard seed. It's a metaphor, but it's a beautiful metaphor. So I'm here to shift you today out of that struggle, that stuckness, and that lack that you feel. And I want you to show you to embody what it is that you want to become, right? So if you had the goal, yesterday I told you, put your goal out there, right? Create a big goal, like no one's watching. And I don't want you to create a goal that is doable. And I always tell my clients, not enough. If they bring me a goal that's small, I always tell them go back and go bigger. Because when you challenge yourself to visualize something big, maybe it is I want to travel to Barbados, to Asia, and I want to go traveling and working. There has to be uncomfort around. Let me explain what this looks like. So have you ever seen a donut? So you know the donut with the circle? Actually, I may or may not draw this. But I want you to envision a circle, right? Inside that circle is your control. That is your husband or your partner or your girlfriend or your family, right? It's everything that you have. It's your business. It's your money. It's everything that's currently in your life. Within that circle, that's your control. Now, if you look outside of that circle, it's things that's not in your control. The reason why you feel icky and you feel stuck is because you know you're meant for more. That's why you're here, right? You know you're meant for the bigger, the better part of you, the higher picture. But what you're doing is that circle is so comfortable that stretching that circle to achieve perhaps £20,000 a month, or to perhaps dream of having a partner, or grow a really, really strong, successful, solid business, really makes you feel uncomfortable because that circle is holding you. It's a bubble that holds you safe. Now, you know when you're going to go through growth is when it becomes really uncomfortable, when those dreams really become uncomfortable. That's when you know I need to grow. And we are creatures of habit. So it takes the mind at least 90 days to install a habit. So that's when you have to do something repetitive. This is when you start working on this belief system. Now this video is on record, so you will be able to watch this video over and over just to get into educating the mind, right? Because it's so easy to go away from here and to go back to your normal routine. But if you employ these skills and start living from the results, right, I can guarantee you, you're going to shift. But the reason why you're not living in result is you don't know what it feels like, because you don't know what you want exactly, or what it is that's keeping you stuck is the story that you keep holding on to, right? So I need you to release a story, okay? We don't have to hold a story so much, because when we're doing healing, when I'm working with clients, whether they're in the UK, in South Africa, Australia, in Fiji, wherever they are, we listen to the story a few times and we see how the story has served them. But then what we don't want to do is become the story. I've had abuse, I've had trauma, but I don't use the story over and over. Only when I get asked about the story, or to write about it, or to do a podcast, I will speak about the story if they ask me. But I don't use the story, right? It's not my survival, right? Because that then creates the victim. That then keeps me stuck. So what I'm going to do is ask, how does this situation serve me, right? What does the situation do for me, right? So for example, at the moment, I'm manifesting a really, really big house in the Mediterranean, right? And it's going to be an amazing house. I'm manifesting that. It's a big, big, big dream. But I believe I'm going to do it because I put my mind to it. And my husband knows when that vision board comes out, that's happening because I've already said that I'm doing that, right? Alongside, I want to go to this country. I want to go visit this country. You know, it's very, very easy for me to get into that flow because I've trained myself to become comfortable in being uncomfortable. If I'm uncomfortable and it scares me, then I'm going to tell myself the fear story that the emotions are going to bring up the history, right? The emotions are going to tell you why you can't achieve that. Maybe your daddy left you, right? Maybe your mother told you you're not enough, you're not lovable. There's a lot of daddy and mommy stories going around. And those stories can hold you bondage and stop you from living your life and creating your desire. So we want to shift, right? So today it's all about shifting the story without using logic, right? Because what happens, people who's gone through trauma or really high toxic complex stress usually uses logic. So if you're watching and you're one of those people that are constantly in that logical state, you probably have that suppressed trauma. So what you're going to do is you're going to allow yourself and give yourself permission, right? And I really want you to take note on this is allow yourself, give yourself permission and self-compassion. I feel myself, I feel this, I allow myself to be angry and then I'm going to release this. No one is going to save you, right? Because the moment you're looking for the savior is the moment you're switching into the victim. So you're going to allow yourself to feel, and then after you're feeling, that's when you release it. Because we cannot, and I'm going to say this again, we cannot heal the emotion, right? Sadness is going to come up, and it's going to come up again. Something's going to happen, it's going to trigger sadness. But what you want to do is release the story that the sadness is giving. Because then you're forming a feeling, which is an interpretation of that emotion, the feeling, right? Remember, they're two different things. So what you don't want to do is marry those negative feelings, okay? And that's going to help you shift into that emotion, out of that emotion. You have to allow yourself here to trust the process. The next step in this is really, truly trusting the process. So tomorrow, there's going to be a few more people on Zoom, and I will bring someone and I'll laser coach you live tomorrow in the session to what's actually going on. Okay, and if anyone doesn't want to participate, feel free and tell me. I just want to watch rather. Okay, so you'll always have an opportunity to be coached and have a session with me later in life if destiny confirms that for you. So once we shift out of logic and analyzing, because over logic and over analyzing is not going to bring you your abundance and success. Okay, please remember that. There's the opposite part of the brain, which is emotion. People who are using the emotional part. Now, I'm quite emotional as well. That's why I'm quite empathic. People who use the emotions are usually dreamers. They are creators, they're thinkers, and they're feelers, right? So if you are that emotional person, I want you really to use this. Because being emotional can be a blessing and it can be a curse. I want you to really use this in marrying that big dream that you want. I want you to really use that emotion to shift into that dream that you want. So you're going to see the vision. Let's say you want to manifest a nice sports car. I like speaking about that. Let's say you want to create a nice sports car. Right now, for me, that's not a need, right? But let's say you want to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to feel what that feels like. You know, you're going to start saying, right, I'm the driver of that red sports car. I've got a Mustang or a Porsche, whatever it is. You're going to say, I'm the driver of this car. How does it actually feel to say that, right? Because that is your vibration. That's a vibrational energy. Have you ever noticed when you come in the room, you can control and manipulate the energy in the room? That is the law of vibration, right? It's also whatever you throw up must come down, right? Everything, what you sow is what you reap. That energy you're going to put in is exactly what you're going to get out. You have to be able to visualize the end result. Where are you looking to go? right? If you can nail this, everything will come easy, because remember, everything is based on 80% mindset and the rest is the action. So if you're aligning yourself with the right energy, stay away from people who are negative, people who are not in alignment with you, right? Or not singing the same praises or pushing you out of your comfort zone, saying you can do more, you can do better. Those are the people you need. You don't need people holding you back, telling you you can't do this, you're not worthy. So you go into that emotional part, you go into your creative part of you. And that part is the part that you marry. That's the part that you say, this is where I want to be. This is who I want to become. And that's where you live from. Now, let's say your goal is not intrinsic, right? Intrinsic. Let's say your goal is not extrinsic, meaning it's not a physical material. I mean, it's more of an intrinsic, because we have two different needs manifestations. We have intrinsic. Intrinsic is internal, right? Intrinsic is our internal world. It's trust. It's about faith. Those are all internal things that we want to form a relationship with. Once we can form a relationship with our intrinsic self, we can then be able to bring that in our outside world, because your outside world has to reflect your inside world. Right? So let's just say, for example, I'm doing a business coaching session with a client, and my client is telling me that this is the lifestyle she wants to live, and it needs to match her inside, right? You have to be able to radiate within, so without. So on the inside, so on the outside. So the goal starts internally. Are you able to trust yourself, right? So that's a relationship you need. These are intrinsic things that's going to help you. Trusting yourself that you are healing. So perhaps you're here tonight because you just want to heal, right? Or perhaps you're here tonight because you want to become a good coach. Perhaps you're here tonight because you want to be able to strengthen your manifestation, whatever that is. It all starts with you, and it's all intrinsic. So what is going on the inside, right, will reflect what's going on the outside. Right, so if you want to then manifest something on the outside, what is required for you? It's trust.
Can you hear me?
Can
you hear me, Leilah? Is that me? Yeah.
Leilah? Before you carry on, Mikey, could you just put a message in the message box, the comment box, okay? And I will read your message.
Okay.
Because otherwise you'll just throw the momentum.
Yeah. I've never done this.
Amazing. Just if you have any questions, just pop it in to the comment box, okay? So I'm going to read the comments now. If you have any questions, write it down. Anything that I can answer, put it in the comment box and I'll be able to read that. So far, does anyone have any questions regarding where we are, what's going on, and how to move? If you do have any questions, just put it in the comment box. It's incredibly hot today. I forgot how to cope with the heat. But I mean, I love it. I really do. Although I say it's too hot. I wouldn't want it to rain, of course, and to get cold. Sarah, I also hope you're enjoying the sunshine, because I know you like the sun body. So I'm just going to give a chance for you guys to send me a message. Just check if there's anyone writing. Mike, if you did want to put something into the comment box, I want you to just have a go right now and put it in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll just carry on. I've got a screen over here and a screen on this side in case you see me looking on the side. Mikey, did you want to say something? Okay. Okay, I'll have a look in a moment to the screen, because the screen is on my left and I also have a screen onto the right side. So I just wanted to go through this again and just to make sure that you know what we're dealing with and where we are today. So remember, today is all about releasing the emotions, not living in that emotion, not allowing the emotions to control you, to override you, right? Because you are much bigger. Remember, we're actually all born to succeed. We are all born for abundance, right? So it's all based on your interpretation. Everything that we have in our life is based on how we see things and the interpretation that we have put on that. So remember what I said earlier. I said earlier was £1 to you, maybe 10 Rand in someone else's currency, or $2 or $3 in Australian dollars, whatever that is, I think. Yes, I think that is. So we all form an interpretation of a value and over money, for an example. Okay, so these things then become our story. So money, let's just say money, if we're going to speak about money as an example, money is just a victim of people's emotions, right? We place our emotions on, and which is our beliefs, on the value of money. Okay, so actually money is just an exchange. It's a currency exchange, but we've decided what we're going to think and what we're going to believe. That then controls what we allow in our life and what we don't allow, because we all know that we have the same. You and I, we're no different. We're both humans, right? But we have differences. Our differences, our mindset, our goals, our perceptions, our stories. Those things is things that creates the differences within us. But what you're capable of, someone else could be capable of. What I'm capable of, you can do. Maybe you can do it 20 times better. It depends on how strong your mind is and where you're actually looking to go. So we're not going to get married to ideas that's not true. And when an emotion comes up that's not true, I want you to ask yourself, right, who told you that this was true? So yesterday I asked you to do a big, I know some of you were not here yesterday, and a lot of you who were here yesterday will be back tomorrow. But yesterday I asked, draw up a vision of what you want to become, right? Usually I can see where people are by the discomfort that they have. So I don't know if anyone has done the vision board or perhaps went away and did something, but you will notice there are feelings that would come up, right? So let's say today I was with a client, and this client was speaking about applying for a job role which is higher, a lot higher. It's a chief executive officer, which is the CEO of a company. It's a lot higher. But what she told me is that I can do this job. I can do it. I'm going to get this job. I said, okay, that's good. That's called confidence. Confidence is one thing, right? I have confidence, right? So confidence is one thing. Belief is a different thing. Do you have the belief? And she said, I will get this role. And I said to her, something within you seems to be a little bit doubtful about this. And I said, what is that? She said, I can't think of anything. And I said, then why are you here? Why are you not the CEO right now? So something that you want, if you had no negative things that came up while you're doing that big board or thinking of the big grandiose picture, then you would be it, right? You wouldn't be here. So there's something that you want that you're not into, that you're not in aligned with. We need to become in harmony with what we want to attract. Oh, 1 second. Okay. I understand you got a lot of radiation from your chest. I'm not sure I understand what it is you're actually asking, Mikey, in this. If you're asking me something, okay. Just to let you know, this workshop is all about shifting, aligning, and healing. We're not going to focus too much on the stories, right? Stories are not going to help us shift. We want to heal and we want to move, right? So this is all about shifting, healing, and becoming in aligned. So we want to become... Oh, no problem, Mikey. I'll see you soon. Thank you for joining, and you can always ask me for the replay. Okay, so we want to be able to make sure that we are becoming in alignment. So what I'm saying is, if we didn't have these beliefs that came up within us, all these core beliefs, we will be in aligned, or we will be in harmony with what we're looking to attract. Okay, so we'll be in harmony. So if you think that you wanted to have a house, maybe you're living in a very small place, or you think you wanted something bigger, you will actually you have to be in harmony with what you want, right? Harmony is seeing the end result in what you actually want. So we have to work from that space. So my client said to me today that she has no beliefs, nothing's coming up for her whilst dreaming that big. And I said, well, you'd be that, right? So there's something. And as we dug, that was basically her brain protecting her. That was something that was protecting her, and that was from her brain. There was a fear there that allowed her to stay stuck. And the fear, the underlying current of her fear was, if she becomes a CEO and she steps into the power of what she's destined to become, she may A, disappoint people, and B, people who won't love her the way they do, because she'll be stepping on people's toes. And those beliefs are self-sabotage beliefs, right? That the brain creates to keep you playing small and to keep you safe. That comes from the inner critic, which is the self-sabotage archetype that we have. So when I asked you yesterday to do a big dream, a big goal, ask yourself, when the fear comes up, and you recognize there's a fear come up, right? So I had a lot of the people that I've worked with have similar fears. I've had fears as well. One of them was ancestral. You know, I might be disappointing family, or they may think I've grown out, I become too big for them, and they may not be able to sit with that. Maybe I feel like I need to look after my family members, so all the money that I make, I need to distribute it between my family, you know, like community. South Africa is very community-like. So we have all these belief systems that we then create, right? And these belief systems are deep-rooted. And the only way you'll find out if you have belief systems is to create something that's going to make you face your demons, right? Maybe it's a big vision. Maybe it's a big goal. Go really big. And ask yourself, what will be the worst that will happen if I achieve success, if I achieve abundance? Okay? So I want you all to think of the worst scenario. What would happen if you achieve success and abundance? Perhaps, what will be the worst thing that could happen if you and your husband set up a company and it's really big? Ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen, right? And you'll find the answer. It'll come up. It'll come up through your gut. Whether you want to see it or not, that answer is always there. Your body and your mind knows the truth, right? If you ask yourself, it will take you there. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that will happen in your life, right? And then I want to ask you, and who told you this? Find proof that that is true. Because I want you to observe if it's coming from fear, and fear is false evidence appearing real. Is it coming from a fear, or is it coming from a past experience that has happened to you, right? And this is going to show you where you're rooted and where you're actually stuck in your life. Right, so if you have a goal, perhaps your goal is to buy a house, perhaps your goal is to drive, or perhaps your goal is to run a successful business, perhaps your goal is healing. What will be the worst thing that will happen? Just play around with that idea. What's going to be the worst that will happen when you get super successful or super healthy? Who's going to leave you? Who are you going to disappoint, right? These are all beliefs that's currently happening in your life. And this is why you are where you are. So in order for us to shift those beliefs, okay, we have to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror and become truly honest. Healing requires honesty, right? And honesty with yourself. If you're telling yourself a lie, you're going to go in a spiral. Even so, as a therapist, as a coach, if I don't believe something with my clients and I don't see what they're seeing, I'll usually tell them, I don't really see this. Let's explore this, just so I can see where they're coming from, right? So I'll say, let's explore what's coming up for you now, right? So I want you to be able to see what is coming up for you now. Let's explore where you're feeling and where you're going to, right? And then find evidence that it's real. Prove to me that you are perhaps not worthy. Prove to me and show me. Let's go and find that, right? Because you're going to have to move out of that, the logic part of your brain, out of the trauma part of the brain, out of the beliefs that's false, the narratives. We're going to have to shift those emotions into the alignment. And then I want you to replace those, like neuro-linguistic programming, with I know what it feels like. I see the bigger picture. I am worthy, right? And start living from the end. So I am going to put this all together in a little summary of what we went through today. And then if anyone has any questions, please ask me questions in the little box if you want to. Or if you'd like to be coached tomorrow, please put it in the box. I can bring you on. There will be other people joining tomorrow, I believe. Please put that in the box. And yeah, I will answer your questions and answers in a moment. Okay, so just I want to summarize everything that I have covered today and spoken about today. So it is all about living in the emotion, okay? Feeling those emotions, living in those emotions. It's all about changing the narrative of the story by finding evidence what you're experiencing is real, right? So it's finding the evidence that everything I'm experiencing, all these false narratives are true, okay? I want you to do that. I want you to feel that. And then those 3 questions I asked yesterday was, is this true? Then how does it serve me? That was the question. So how does being in the situation serve me? What am I learning from the situation? And what do I need, right? What is it that you really need? Perhaps what you really need, if anyone wants, for example, to create abundance, right? They may say abundance to be will mean £20,000 in monetary value. But what they don't actually want is the money. It's what they want to do with that money. So what you actually want to do is freedom, right? So what you're trying to manifest is freedom. So a lot of people come to me saying, look, I really want to get into alignment and I really want to attract abundance. And I go, okay, what does that look like? I want to attract a lot of money. Okay, let's be specific. I want to attract 10,000 or 20,000. I'm like, okay. And what if that runs out, right? What if you get the house and it runs out? You're going to need a gardener. You're going to need a cleaner. What if you can't keep up? Well, then I need more, right? And then we go deeper and deeper. And what they usually tell me by the end of it, what I actually want is freedom. It's not actually the money, right? It's what you can do with the money that will then make you free. That is the end result, right? So let's just say, for example, if you're coming today to shift, align, and heal because you're trying to manifest, you're trying to create abundance, maybe you want more money, maybe you want a house, maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to have a coaching career that's successful, I want to ask you, what is that result? What is that going to give you? Right? Is that result going to give you perhaps freedom? Is this result going to give you money? Right? I want you to feel what is that, because what you think you want is not really what you want. It's the feeling of what you want. And a lot of people are not aware of this. What they think they want is not what they really want, it's the feeling, right? Maybe you want a really strong, solid business. What is a strong, solid business going to give you? It's going to give you freedom, right? Then I want to ask, what are you going to do with that freedom? I can travel. I can buy my children this. I can do that. I can do that. That's the goal. That is your goal. And that's what you have to live for, not the strategy. The strategy is the business or the money, because that will come when you know what you want, the outcome. So you have to trust that you are at the result in order to get there, right? And that part requires to become illogical, because to have faith, to believe in miracles and to believe in manifestation, it's not logic. It's something that's illogical, right? Faith, trust, all those things are illogical. They don't add up. They're not a maths equation, although there's backed up proof, of manifestation by science, and everyone has been speaking about this for years. Miracles is not logical. Okay, so we have to step away from that. So instead of looking, you have your big goal. Ali, I'm going to be with you in a moment. I saw your message and I'm going to read that in a moment. So when you see your big goal, I want you to look at, what is this goal going to give me? And what it's going to give you is a feeling that you're actually trying to desire. Okay, so that's it for today. That is the masterclass of shifting. I hope that has helped. Now I'm going to turn myself to the questions. I'm just going to answer a question over here. And if anyone has any questions, just let me know. Okay, so you're saying, when I asked myself what was the worst case scenario would be if I achieved success or abundance or my goals, my gut told me that there isn't really. What is the worst case scenario? Because to achieve this would be wonderful. What does this mean, right? So that means that there's something deeper. That there's something deeper, and that's why you haven't really gone there. Because if you had no belief systems, no stories, you'd be there, right? You would be living a limitless life. So what you'd have to do, because I know you do theater, you've done your theater, you'd have to dig deeper. You'd have to go there. And what you have to follow there is the feeling, right? So ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself, Ali, I'm happy to laser coach you tomorrow if you wanted to come on tomorrow, or anyone else. But if you came on for 10 minutes, I can quickly laser coach you tomorrow, okay? So I would ask you just to go with your feeling. Shift from the logical. Just go with, what is the worst thing that could happen if I get to this goal, right? What could happen? I want you to picture the worst thing that could happen. Is it that you leave your family, or is it that something else happened? There's definitely more to that, okay? Because success and abundance, you'd achieve your goals. What I feel with you, there's some resistance, okay? There's some resistance along with amazing. Okay, I'll bring you on tomorrow, Ali, and we'll do a short laser coaching. But what I feel there is resistance to creating. There's a struggle, right? Because you'd be in aligned with that otherwise. We can delve into that tomorrow a lot more. You're very brave, and I want to thank you for choosing yourself to come up and to be very brave tomorrow. So thank you so much. I'd love to laser coach you for that 10 minutes and just show you where you are and what's actually going on. Perhaps you can share your goals if you want to, and tell me what it is actually that you're trying to achieve, because otherwise you'll be at that point, right? We'll all be at that point. So it's about the comfort zones that we have to push and grow from. Well, anyway, that all makes sense. I'm really glad that makes sense for you, Ali. Thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the heal and alignment. Well, guys, that is it today. I hope that you have had some golden nuggets of wisdom today, and I just want to assure you all that I've done it. Many people can do this, and many people are able to shift, align, and heal, and you can do it, right? It's all about dreaming big, pushing yourself out your comfort zone, and allowing yourself space to grow. Grow, grow, grow. So thank you everyone for joining. Okay, another question. How do I distinguish between faith and confidence in achieving my goals? Very good question. How do I know I'm not just being confident, but that I actually have faith in it happening? When you have faith and when you actually have trust, the confidence will grow. Confidence actually comes with competence. So confidence and competence, they're linked. Let's say, for example, I've been a registered therapist for a while, okay, and I know what I'm doing, right? And therefore I have confidence because I feel competent. Faith is something that's more intrinsic. Faith is a deeper sense of belief. Faith is more linked to trust. To have faith is to have trust, right? So what you have to shift into is not confidence, because confidence is a second layer, it's another level. But what you need to know, it's not I'm confident I can, because that's competence, right? It's knowing you can do it. It's deeper. It's trusting yourself to know that within me there's a deeper sense of faith. I trust. So very good question there. But faith and trust are a lot deeper. Confidence grows. I can have faith without the confidence, because confidence you can learn. Faith is inherent. You have to have that faith, that faith of a mustard seed, that within you, you just know, right? You know. For example, I know I'm meant for so much more. I know, I believe, and I feel that. And naturally, because I've got the deeper tools, the confidence will grow. Does that answer your question? Confidence will grow as your faith increases. So that's a difference. Thanks, Simone. Thank you. So I would say continue. I want you to, if you've done the exercise yesterday, Simone, I just want you to know that your faith needs to be rock solid to a point that that's your self-belief. Faith and trust is where everything is going to grow from. Okay, so you have to have that internal faith and confidence. If you're not achieving, if you're not going where you're meant to be going, I would ask you, do you trust yourself, right? Or do you have self-doubt, right? Because trust comes from I need. If you don't trust, you will go, I know, I'll receive. This is what trust looks like. Someone who doesn't trust will tell me, I need to do this. I need this, right? That's someone who's disconnected from trust. This is called a lack mindset. So there's two types of mindsets. We have lack and we have abundance and wealth. Wealth and abundance is all about creating, right? Knowing that we can create and embody luxury and become this and do that and do that. That's because we just know. That's an abundant mindset. But when we say, I need this, what actually happens is we're operating from struggle, right? It's called lack mindset or scarcity, right? Struggle is lack. Now, just to answer those questions, just to go a little bit deeper, I have something that I will treat you with tonight. So these are questions, right, around money and belief systems and behaviors. And I want you to see what comes up within you as I ask you these questions, okay? So remember, it's about trust. People who struggle with trusting themselves will usually go, I need this, I need to do that, I need that. They don't trust, because if you trust, you'll say, I choose, I will do this, I choose. So that comes from a wealth mindset. So we need to shift your mindset from lack into wealth. Okay? So questions I want you to ask yourself as you go away tonight, just to give you a little bit of an extra, a money mindset thing of what's actually going on in your world. I'll ask you. So there's two options you're going to answer in your mind. You're going to say either or, right? When I have money, when I have spare money, I tend to A, save, or B, spend the money. When making a major purchase, I am debt adverse or debt willing. I prefer to spend money on A, possessions, or B, experiences. In relationships, I prefer finances to be separate or merged. Okay? My spending habits are frugal or lavish. I prefer spending money on myself or on others. Most of my purchases are planned or spontaneous. When making financial decisions, I am risk adverse or risk tolerant. Okay, allow yourself to ponder, because these things will bring up a lot of things within you, questions within you, okay? And usually when I speak to people about money, it becomes very exciting for me, trust me, because I start seeing a lot of stuff. It tells me where you've actually healed yourself and where you haven't healed, right? Because people who struggle or are very adverse or risk adverse, they tend to hold on to money, right? There's a struggle because they don't trust, for example, that money is just an energy. Money comes and goes, right? But we put a lot of power on that. We put a lot of emotions. We say, well, money is higher than us. Well, we have to work hard to get money. These are all belief systems. So these questions we have formed as interpretations. So if someone says, I need money, it's coming from struggle. I need money. So struggle energy. If you say, I choose to make money this month, or I choose to have money, it comes from a different energy. So this is just an example around trusting and living from lack, right? Trusting and struggle. So I just want to read these questions and play it out for you today. Let me know if you have found this helpful today. You can type it in the box if you have found this helpful, whatever. But I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening for the last hour, where I'm going to coach you into the energy that you really want to be and give you the tools to take away. If you're not able to be here tomorrow, which I know tonight is a busy evening for many, I will send you the replay. But thumbs up if you enjoyed the workshop tonight, and let me know if you have any questions. If not, I really, really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining. Thanks for the love. Thank you. And thank you for your questions. Thanks a lot, Simone. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.